What's going on, everybody? Last YouTube video of the day. I really got to get through this. No hard feelings. I'm probably going to try to rush through this video and get it done by at least 12:40, so I can have time to take a little shower and watch some more Breaking Bad, because I have my cousin over tonight and I can't really watch a Breaking Bad episode. I'm ahead of him by a good whole season, so he kind of needs to catch up still. But yeah, we're going to go through this story. This is a modern day franchise that's an absolute classic, an instant classic. I'm really proud that I've been around for this whole franchise. I mean, they're supposedly giving us a chapter 3. I don't know if that's going to end a trilogy or they're going to keep going. I would say leave it off as a trilogy, in my honest opinion, but surprisingly, I haven't really fully watched any of these movies, so I decided to sit down, watch John Wick last night. And I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't really attentive the whole time watching this movie. There were a couple of times I zoned off. It's not really that it's a boring movie. It's a great movie, and John Wick is a really badass character, but I don't know, some of the action sequences are really cool, but the stuff in between, like when I'm watching an action movie and I know it's an action movie, I'm like, where are the badass kills? You know, I really like when John Wick ran the guy over, shot through the roof of the Dodge Charger. That was a really badass scene, and one of my favorites. That's just my initial thoughts. Let's get through the plot. After losing his wife Helen to a terminal illness, John Wick receives a beagle puppy named Daisy that Helen had arranged to send before she died to help him cope with his grief. So I like that we're seeing the soft side of John Wick, like straight from the beginning. You know, the man's best friend, the classic puppy. And dogs are going to be a big part of this franchise, by the way, so yeah. Despite John's stoic demeanor, he bonds with the puppy, and they spend the day driving around in his vintage 1969 Ford Mustang Mach 1, which is pretty badass. At a gas station, he encounters a trio of Russian gangsters whose leader, Iosif, pretty much the main antagonist, insists on buying his car, which John refuses to sell or be cowed by Iosif's attempts to intimidation. So Iosif is not intimidating anyone. I mean, you don't really know John Wick. The audience knows what John Wick would do, put in a situation, and he's put in plenty of crazy situations throughout this movie, but Iosif doesn't know this, so he's trying to intimidate him. That evening, the gangsters break into John's home, knock him unconscious, kill Daisy, and steal his car. So the Russian gangsters are nothing to mess with, and that's kind of where the conflict arises. They're like, oh, you didn't want to give us your car? You didn't want us to buy the car off you? We're coming in. And we're fucking you up. I mean, John Wick successfully survived and killed all the gangsters and stuff, but they got away with his car and they killed the puppy, which is fucking terrible. I mean, I guess Russians don't have any remorse for anything. I don't know. I'm not trying to be racist or anything, but yeah. Iosif takes the Mustang to a chop shop to have the VIN changed so they can't track it. I really like Aurelio, one of my favorite characters in the movie. The shop's owner, recognizing the car and knowing who it was stolen from, punches Iosif and ejects him from the facility. So he knows it's John Wick. John Wick got some connections. John Wick got some guys that care for him. And I really like that. So that's cool. John visits Aurelio, who identifies Iosif as the son of Vigo Tarasov, the head of the Russian mafia in New York City. So there's a Russian mafia in New York City. And Iosif has ties, and obviously Vigo Tarasov is his father. So, yeah, that's kind of like this whole gang of people, whole family of people that John Wick has antagonized here. Aurelio relays Iosif's activities to Vigo, so Aurelio has connections, who attacks and berates Iosif before explaining to him who John Wick is, formerly in Vigo's employ, nicknamed Baba Yaga. Do you know who John Wick is? So Iosif, at this point in the film, is kind of starting to realize who this fucking guy is. He's a savage. I wouldn't mess with John Wick. When John wanted to retire and marry Helen, Vigo gave him an impossible task, implied to involve multiple high-level assassinations in a short period of time. So John Wick actually used to work for Vigo, so that's kind of what we learn right here. In Vigo's surprise, John succeeded, and his efforts were key in establishing the Tarasov Syndicate. So the Tarasov family, and the reason why they kind of formed, and the reason why they're kind of successful to this day, is because of John Wick. So they shouldn't be making him enemies. Yeah, it should be the opposite. After warning Iosif of his impending doom, Viggo tries to talk John out of seeking retribution, but John refuses to talk. He's like, "What he has done to me can't be undone. I'm sorry, Viggo, no hard feelings. I used to work for you, but your son is dead meat. Like, I'm going after this guy." Viggo sends a team of hitmen to John's house, but John kills all of them and enlists an underworld cleaning service to dispose of the bodies and evidence. That is so fucking savage. That is so fucking badass. Um, Again, the people sending guys after John Wick, he still survives. And they don't take anything from him this time. He absolutely murders every single one of them. Like one of the first like really badass sequences of many in this film. Unsurprised, Viggo places a $2 million bounty on John's privacy and personally offers the contract to John's mentor, Marcus, who accepts. So Marcus, his own mentor, is going out and killing John Wick and trying to. John seeks assistance from the New York Continental Hotel, which caters exclusively to the criminal underworld and permits no assassinations, termed business in their language, on its premises. So if they find out that someone murdered them on their estate, that person's going to be in huge fucking trouble. And they cater to criminals. So the guy's like, "John Wick, I've seen you here before." Yeah, because John Wick has assassinated people outside of the hotel and he's a criminal. Viggo doubles the bounty for those willing to break this rule to kill John. Winston, the Continental's manager, informs John that Viggo has Iosif under guard at his Red Circle nightclub. The nightclub's where a lot of stuff goes down as well. It's a pretty big setting in this show. John enters the Red Circle and kills a horde of Viggo's men to reach Iosif, who narrowly escapes after Viggo's Lieutenant Carroll thwarts his attempt and incapacitates John. By the way, John Wick is played by Keanu Reeves. You guys should know this. There's actually a guy that is played by the Mayhem guy. I can't remember his name. Dean Winters is in this movie. Oh my god, I can't remember everyone's names. The guy from Game of Thrones plays Iosif, so that's a cool little detail. And Willem Dafoe plays one of the characters too. John retreats to the Continental to have his entries treated. Miss Perkins, an assassin and former acquaintance, sneaks into John's room to kill him. So again, more fucking people are going after him. There's a bounty on this fucking guy, for crying out loud. Like, that's crazy. Marcus alerts John with a warning shot, allowing him to subdue Perkins, who reveals the location of Viggo's front. So at first when you're watching this Marcus played by Willem Dafoe, you think he's going to kill him or something, but it's like, no, he's sending a warning shot. He's trying to warn John Wick that Perkins is trying to subdue him and try to kill him. So Marcus is a W Mans. He knocks her unconscious and leaves her with Harry, a fellow assassin, to await punishment, but she frees herself and kills Larry. Harry, not Larry. John travels to a church in Little Russia, which serves as Viggo's front, and destroys his cache of money and blackmail material. So Miss Perkins revealed where they were, or else she would have died. She ends up dying anyways, by the way. When Viggo and his henchmen arrive, John ambushes them, but is subdued and captured. Viggo taunts John for thinking that he would be able to leave his old life behind. Before John can be killed, Marcus intervenes again, allowing John to free himself, strangle Kirill to death, and accost Viggo, who reveals Iosif's location. So yeah, Marcus is a big help to John Wick in this movie. John then travels to Iosif's safe house and kills him with his bodyguard. So Iosif is officially dead. Perkins learns that John and Marcus have been in contact and informs Viggo, who has Marcus beaten and tortured before killing him in his home. So Viggo finds out that, Marcus is associated with John, and Marcus kind of betrays them and he gets killed. Viggo calls John to report this, planning to have Perkins ambush him. While waiting for John, Perkins is summoned to a meeting with Winston, who has her executed by breaking the Continental's rules. Kind of a crazy part of the movie. Winston calls John to inform him that Viggo is planning to escape by helicopter and he needs to get to this location before he does. John races to New York Harbor, where he kills Viggo's remaining henchmen before battling Viggo on the dock. So kind of the final battle of the movie involves Viggo and John Wick. Viggo brandishes a knife and John allows himself to be stabbed before disarming and wounding Viggo, leaving him to die. So he pretty much sacrificed a stab wound to kill Viggo. So Viggo's dead. John Wick is bleeding out. He must get some help. John breaks into an animal clinic to treat his wounds and releases a pit bull puppy scheduled to be euthanized. What does that even mean? I think that's something. I'll look it up in a little bit. Euthanized. I gotta keep note of that. John and the dog walk home along the boardwalk where he had his final date with Helen. So the movie kind of comes full circle into the end. I like that. And this dog is a big part of the second film. I already kind of know this. It's kind of like a pop culture icon of John Wick and his dog. I think that's really cool. I don't really care about box office. Mostly positive reception upon release, praise for the action sequences, direction, visual style, pacing, performances of the cast. I mean, Keanu Reeves did great in this movie. 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, average score of 6.9 out of 10. Stylish, thrilling, and giddily kinetic, John Wick serves as a satisfying return to action for Keanu Reeves, and what looks like it could be the first of a franchise. Yeah, people kind of knew at the beginning that this was going to become a franchise, how successful of a movie it was, how dope the concept is. I mean, the sequel potential was very high in this movie. Excuse me. 6.8 out of 10 on Metacritic. Generally favorable reviews there. A B film on CinemaScore. John Wick is the kind of fired up, ferocious B movie. I don't think it's a B movie, to be honest, but yeah. Fun some of us can't get enough of. The juicy performances from Dafoe, Leguizamo, McShane were great. Action movies are about movement, and John Wick pursues that goal with remorseless verve. The film is a B plus by the AV Club. An underworld fantasy that grafts crisp action onto Rian Johnson-esque world building, producing one of the more fully realized shoot-'em-up flicks in recent memory. Kolstad's script distinguishes itself by carefully defining the boundaries of its universe. Entertainment Weekly gave the film an A-. Kolstad's screenplay is a marvelously rich and stylish feat of pulpy world building. Oh my god, this is a lot of reviews. After a marked absence from the genre, Reeves resoundingly returns with an effortless, kinetic style that positions the film extremely well for any potential follow-ups. Back in action hero mode, Keanu Reeves joins forces with his Matrix stunt double to deliver a slick and satisfying revenge thriller. What a thrill well choreographed action can be when we're actually able to make out what's happening. Reeves is wonderful here, a marvel physically and stern determination. He moves with the grace of an old school swashbuckler. It's a beautiful coffee table action movie. Harboring few ambitions beyond knock your socks off action sequences, this crafty revenge thriller delivers with so much style and even some wit that the lack of substance takes longer than it should to become problematic. Dafoe, Leguizamo brought real subtlety to an all-too-brief scene. Nievequist as marvelous. The direction and the cinematography were great. John Wick offers a slow burn sizzling to a manner true to its hero's surname. The film's a 4 out of 5 on The Guardian, a slick, propulsive, and ridiculous crime picture that strides like an automatic machine gun. 2 out of 5 stars from another guy from The Guardian. Reeves' semi-deliberate, zonked, deadpan style only really works in juxtaposition with funny dialogue. And this is a pretty humorless and violent film, which grinds on and on with more and more gleaming black SUVs getting trashed. Okay. John Wick is a disappointingly standard revenge movie. I don't think it's anything amazing. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't think this movie's fantastic or anything. But I definitely think it's a good movie and deserves to be a franchise. The title, the new name in crummy action cinema, 1.5 out of 4 stars. So, like, a little over a 2.5 out of 10. Eesh, that's tough. I don't know. I don't really have much else to say. I think the film is good. There are boring parts. And in a movie like this, where you have Keanu Reeves, one of the greatest action actors of all time, you know, he's up there with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's up there with a lot of people. I don't know. You can't really have boring parts in this movie if you want it to be good. I mean, the funny dialogue, a little bit of comedy would be nice, and I don't really know what they're commenting on. Some of those reviews are very, very confusing, but anyways, leave a like, comment, subscribe. I gotta get going here. I will watch a Breaking Bad episode. That'll probably be the only thing I review tomorrow, in all honesty, because my cousin's coming over. We'll probably stream on Twitch, though, and I'll probably listen to the Suicide Boys album. We'll see. My cousin's a weirdo and like hates on the Suicide Boys, so I probably won't listen to it. He's like, "Oh, this is trash." Anyway, have a good